Gang, what's up? Just Ehren here, Question Period Canada. How are you doing? Hope you've had something healthy to eat today and are staying warm. These are tough times in Canada. My question for you this video is, do you believe you can have an impact on your country if you don't believe in the form of the government in your country? I think that you can. I'm a libertarian in my heart. Do unto others as done unto you. It's close to anarchy, but we need a lot less government. But how do we get there from here? Because we have a lot of government right now. This WEF Liberal NDP agenda has to go. They think they've got a fish on the line, but they don't. Canadians, if they know and they see it, are smarter than that. Like if you saw the Chrystia Freeland staged arrest of the reporter the other day, you know they're trying to fool us. I'm a good old Canadian boy, I assure you that. I'd always help you carry your groceries to your car every time. But the thing is, we're hung up by this government that is gaslighting us, dividing, distracting, trying to keep their initiative going. They don't want to let us off the hook. They want us to be eating bugs, I think. Do you know how difficult it was for my friends and I to get out of debt, only to be told that the plan is for you to own nothing, always just paying interest? That's what's happening. Gang, our federal government is flawed by design, and it's very resistant to major change. It's really hard to pass a bill, like it's got so many processes that can be hung up by the government. That was instilled before the times got rough. But now that is being taken advantage of by the Liberals and the WEF and the NDP and Christ knows who else. What do you do between a rock and a hard place? I don't know. Maybe we look for the best option between those two places. The best option that's apparent to Canadians is Pierre Poilievre. He is leading in the polls. He's the federal opposition leader. And if you listen to this guy, it does give you a little bit of hope, even for a cynical like me. It does give a little hope for progressive change. My initial question was, how can you make a difference? I'm trying to make a difference by showing Canadians what's happening, who's saying what, to who, when, where, how, why, what. It's not just Trudeau either. There's this whole cabinet that he's established. Poilievre comes out here and calls them sinister, liars, and hypocrites. That's pretty fun. Let's jump into that video. This is our next great hope. Like, who's going to be next if it isn't him?
It's great to be on the prairies once again with my wonderful colleagues from Manitoba and not just Winnipeg, but out in the rural communities of this wonderful province as well. We have Ted Falk, who's a businessman, he's been a long-standing member of the Finance Committee, doing a terrific job holding the government to account on finance and other matters, a great member of Parliament for Provencher. We have Raquel Dancho, who is a new mother, but still managing to do a great job as our public safety critic, pushing common sense solutions to put an end to the crime wave Trudeau has caused. We have Marty Morantz, the very first MP in Parliament to predict the inflation crisis when he asked the Governor of the Bank of Canada if money printing would cause runaway price increases. And Marty was right, and that's why I always listen to what Marty has to say. And of course we have James Bazan, who is Parliament's strongest leading voice on rebuilding our armed forces and protecting our national security. We know that he will play a strong role in my future government in those policy areas. And we need it. We need all of that. We need all the common sense we can get, because after 8 years, Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost. Justin Trudeau is not worth the cost of 40-year highs in inflation. He doubled the national debt, printed $600 billion of cash, flooded our economy with easy money, which ballooned the price of everything. He's now hitting people with a carbon tax that drives up the cost of gas, heat, and groceries. Now, we all know that Liberal MPs from Winnipeg betrayed their constituents and voted against a Conservative motion to give the same exemption on carbon taxes for home heat to Winnipeg residents that the Prime Minister gave to other Canadians. But those Winnipeg Liberals have voted against Winnipeg. They voted to raise your taxes. And as the temperature goes down and your home heating bill goes up, remember that your local Winnipeg Liberal MP voted to tax your home heat. When you walk outside and you shiver in this prairie cold, remember that Justin Trudeau and the NDP want to quadruple the carbon tax. They want to raise it up to 61 cents a litre, as well as raising taxes on your heat. Finally, this is a tax on food. These are trucks that require diesel. The carbon tax goes on that diesel, so everything transported in these trucks becomes more expensive because of the Trudeau tax on carbon and on diesel. And so when you see your grocery prices reach record highs, it's because Trudeau is taxing the farmer who made the food, the trucker who ships the food, and therefore all who buy the food. While people are desperate and struggling, we see them forced into homelessness. Homeless encampments, like we've never seen in our history, are common now in our streets. Crime, chaos, drugs and disorder runs rampant as Trudeau allows repeat violent offenders to get same-day bail and early parole. And finally, Justin Trudeau allows terrorists to operate freely in our country. Right now, as we see the Iranian government sponsoring terrorist attacks on our allies in the Middle East, we have 700 Iranian-backed IRGC terrorists roaming Canada's streets, according to the Global News report on that matter. 700 IRGC terrorists harassing the Canadian Persian population, intimidating Jews, possibly firebombing synagogues, and doing other outrages against our people. A common-sense Conservative government will ban the IRGC and make our country safe for our people. Common-sense Conservatives will cap spending and cut waste. We'll balance the budget to bring down inflation and interest rates. And, of course, common-sense Conservatives will keep the heat on by taking the tax off. Only common-sense Conservatives will axe the Trudeau tax for all Canadians. Common-sense Conservatives will lower income tax so people bring home powerful paychecks that reward hard work. We'll incentivize cities to speed up and lower the cost of building permits so that we can build homes people can afford and make rent and mortgages affordable, just like they were when I was Minister of Housing. When I was Minister of Housing, the average rent in Canada was half of what it is today. The average mortgage payment was half for a new house of what it is today. And we're going to bring home more affordable homes by removing the bureaucracy and the taxes to build, build, build. And we're going to make those homes in safe streets by bringing in mandatory jail time. Jail, not bail, jail, not bail for repeat violent offenders so that we can keep our streets safe and our people can enjoy their lives. We're also going to go after real violent criminals rather than targeting lawful, licensed firearms owners. We'll put the money into border security, not harassing duck hunters and farmers. See, Justin Trudeau wants to protect turkeys from hunters. I want to protect Canadians from criminals. And finally, we are going to protect Canadians against terror by banning the IRGC and ensuring that Canadians no longer have to worry about terrorist groups running free in our country. This is common sense, and I'm hoping that 2024 will be the year of common sense. Now let's bring it home.
Thank you so much. We'll now take 5 questions from the floor.
Mr. Poilievre, David Menzies with Rebel News. Mr. Poilievre, the Liberals use both a carrot and a stick to control journalists in Canada. The carrot is obviously government money, including massive payments to publishers and broadcasters. This corrupts their editorial independence. The stick is regulation, including censorship, banning reporters from press conferences, the CRA's journalism licensing regime, and the CRTC's new power to alter search engine algorithms. My question, sir, is this: which of these carrots and sticks would you keep as Prime Minister, and which would you repeal?
Thank you. We are going to repeal C11, the censorship law, which allows CRTC bureaucrats to secretly manipulate social media algorithms to promote certain information, demote other information, and censor certain things altogether. This is a form of censorship that exists nowhere in the democratic world. Margaret Atwood actually said that this was creeping totalitarianism. This is Margaret Atwood. This is not a conservative, obviously not a conservative, but she is an artist, a true artist, who believes that freedom of expression and freedom of the press is necessary. We're going to stop arresting journalists. It's outrageous for the Prime Minister to have, and his government, to have journalists arrested for merely for asking questions of ministers and public officials. And we're going to make sure that the government does not use tax dollars to leverage news coverage in its favor. Right now, Justin Trudeau is censoring those that he disagrees with and trying to buy off the rest. And that undermines confidence among Canadians in the news media.
Thank you. Next question.
Ian Frey, CBC. If you could also answer this in French, that'd be appreciated. Do you endorse Canada's support for the strikes in Yemen?
Yes. Oui. Yes. Look, the Houthi rebels are basically a proxy for the Iranian government. They've been interrupting vital trade routes, endangering allied soldiers and civilian sailors. They're operating basically as a Tehran-backed pirate outfit that is threatening international security, and a conservative government believes that the strikes are necessary in order to counter this threat. We also believe in banning the IRGC. We find it incredible that at a time when our allies are forced to strike, rebels that are backed by the Iranian regime, Justin Trudeau allows terrorists who are an official part of that regime to operate legally and with impunity on Canadian soil. A common-sense conservative government will ban the IRGC. West answered as well in English. First of all, let me point out the incredible, sinister, and hypocritical doublespeak of Justin Trudeau. He sends out some of his MPs to claim that they support calling Israel genocidal when they're talking to one group of voters. And then he sends out another group to say that they're against calling Israel genocidal. This is the cynical liberal strategy, to say one thing to one group of voters and an entirely different thing to another group of voters, while Trudeau and Freeland say nothing at all, trying to have it both ways. If you're out there on either side of this debate on the Middle East, know that Justin Trudeau is lying to you. He's telling you whatever you want to hear, and then he's going to another group and saying exactly the opposite. I won't be doing that. I'll take a clear stand based on moral clarity. So let's address this allegation against Israel. I find it incredible that these countries have not accused Hamas of genocide when it's in Hamas's charter that they want to commit genocide against Israel. We don't even need to accuse Hamas because they admit that they are a genocidal enterprise. They admit that their October 7th attacks were motivated by genocidal aims. They are backed by the Iranian government, which seeks to annihilate the entire Jewish people. And not to mention that, if we want to go after genocide targeting Muslims, why are they not bringing a case against China for its persecution of the Uyghur Muslims who are in concentration camps in that country? Why are they not going after Bashar al-Assad, who's been carrying out a genocide against Sunni Muslims in that country? Of course, because this is not about genocide, it is about shamelessly and dishonestly attacking the Jewish people and the Jewish state, and the Conservative Party stands against this dishonest approach.
Thank you. Next question.
Steve Lambert from the Canadian Press. You mentioned in your opening remarks the the fact the government was warned 2 years ago about the impact of immigration on housing prices. A lot of the pressure seems to come from the temporary resident stream. What would a Conservative government do in terms of the impact of immigration and temporary residents on housing?
Well, first of all, I find it incredible that CP didn't even mention the name Sean Fraser in its article on this issue. Because Sean Fraser was the Minister of Immigration when the government warned him that his policies were leading to housing price inflation. And now Justin Trudeau has promoted him to Housing Minister. You wonder why you can't afford a home? Well, there's your answer right there. Because Justin Trudeau named Sean Fraser due to his ability to generate media puff pieces and do photo ops rather than make housing affordable. Justin Trudeau's policies, whether it's printing money or funding government gatekeepers that block home building, or failing to make the link between the number of homes and the population growth, have doubled housing costs after he promised to lower them. Common sense conservatives will get back to an approach of immigration that invites a number of people that we can house, employ, and care for in our healthcare system. Obviously, you need to build homes if you're going to bring in people. And right now, we're not building enough homes. We are building 200,000 homes a year. We built fewer homes last year than we built in 1972, 50 years ago, when our population was half of what it is now. We need to make a link between the number of homes built and the number of people we invite as new Canadians.
Thank you. This will be the final question.
Good morning. APTN National News. Will a Conservative government support the searching of landfills in Winnipeg for the remains of murdered and missing Indigenous women?
We think that every effort needs to be made to find the remains of murdered and missing Indigenous women and to protect Indigenous women from future violence. We also want criminal justice reforms that will ensure that First Nations and Indigenous people are safe and protected, just as all Canadians are, so we never have tragedies like this again. Thank you. All right, merci beaucoup. Bonne année. Happy New Year.
So what do you think? That's Pierre Poilievre. I think he's the best options Canadians have that they're going to be able to vote for, like that's going to matter. So we'll see where people vote when it's time. He is ahead in the polls. I'm just trying to show Canadians what I see. I watch a lot of politics, and I think if they saw it and they knew, they would be able to make their own choices. I'm trying to help them along the way to get us back on track. Is it time for change in Canada, gang? I think that it could possibly be the case. Trudeau does have to go. He's a goof and a loser, and he's been lying straight to your face for a number of years. I think Poilievre is a politician, and maybe he's capable of telling a lie as well, but I don't think that he is as inclined as Trudeau is to stealing from you and ruining our country for the WEF. Maybe that's the bottom line. Things have to change, and the only way you can do that, really, is at the ballot box when the time comes. At the very end here, we're going to put the French portions of Pierre's speech in there, just because I think that's important. I am a Canadian. Like and subscribe. We're trying to have fun with Canadian politics right here, and we're having a good time. We take it with a grain of salt. Obviously, it's a tough time in Canada. That's no joke. Hopefully you've had something healthy to eat and you're going to be able to stay warm tonight. We'll catch you next video. Thanks for watching.
Oui, nous sommes en faveur des actions prises par nos alliés afin de contrer.
Yes, we do support the actions undertaken by our allies in order to fight the terrorists in Yemen. They are supported by the Iranian government, and they are harassing and threatening our sailors, our soldiers, and our allies in general, on top of closing trade routes. So I find this amazing that and unbelievable that Justin Trudeau would let these people from the IRGC, who are the spy and the armed branch of the Iranian regime, intervening and in our country. So our common sense conservative government will be banning that IRGC from Canada. What do you think of the complaint of South Africa to the International Court of Justice regarding Israel? Could you please also answer in English? Aussi, also. Are you asking me to answer in English? Yes. Yes, if you would please also answer in English. So you want me to answer? No, in French and in English. Now, I don't see what the problem is. Neither do I. Thank you for your question. First of all, I find this ridiculous that the Hamas group which is responsible for genocide. And I'm not saying this because they have in their charter, Hamas has declared their intention to destroy Israel. This is not us or we accusing them. It is them who have that kind of intent and in their charter. So at the same time, Israel is being condemned for having reacted to the October 7th attack, which was an attempt at genocide, by the way. So I'd like to see where anyone is making an attempt at condemning Hamas for genocide. So I'm also asking why countries are not also criticizing or condemning and calling out to China for what happens to the Uyghur, or how about the 6,000 civilian people, or the thousands of people who were killed by the Damascus government and their own population. So I believe this complaint at the International Court of Justice is hypocritical, and it is only aiming at Israel, and we condemn that attempt. And I would like to underline also the cynicism and the hypocrisy of Justin Trudeau, who can speak from both sides of his mouth, whether he speaks to a Jewish audience or Israeli audience, and the opposite camp. So, and he's going to please everyone at the same time. Well, I think he should take a stand, a moral stand. You can't. People are free to disagree with me, but at least you know what my stand is, because I'm saying the same thing to whomever I'm speaking to, contrary to Justin Trudeau.